Ori and the Blind Forest is one of the best platformers of the last few years, and certainly one of the prettiest. Even before its release, this title has received a myriad of prizes, as well as top scores from both critics and players around the world. So, if by chance you have never played Ori and the Blind Forest, the recently released Definitive Edition will give you the perfect opportunity to finally immerse yourself in the magical world. And there are at least 6 good reasons to do that. Ori and the Blind Forest is a beautiful fairy tale that is sure to tug at your heartstrings. It tells the story of Ori, an orphan spirit of the woods that must save his home from darkness and corruption. There is laughter, there is fear, sometimes there are tears. Every character you meet has a deep backstory. Even the scary Kuro eventually turns out to be someone completely different than who she seems at first, but that is something you need to discover for yourself. The game is a typical Metroidvania game, so it borrows heavily from classic 2D platformers such as Metroid and Castlevania. And this fact mostly means that this game is hard as hell. The poisoned forest is filled to the brim with bizarre enemies and elaborate traps. If you lose your focus for even 1 second, an encounter with them will result in your death. Oftentimes you have to repeat a certain spot more than a dozen times, and that's because the game not only requires lightning-fast reflexes, but also a keen eye. Fortunately, this experience isn't frustrating at all. Ori and the Blind Forest lets you save your progress at any point in the game. Still, the satisfaction that comes from rising to the challenge is more than enough to compensate for it. The levels in Ori and the Blind Forest form an intricate labyrinth filled with secrets and hidden passages. Not all of them can be discovered the first time you encounter them. As you progress through the game, Ori learns new skills that let you access previously inaccessible spots. So there are places that you'll need to visit more than once, but thanks to conventionally placed portals, that doesn't take too long. The Nibel forest will amaze you with its sheer size and clever design. Exploring all of its nooks and crannies will take many hours. The beautiful design of this game will leave you speechless. The forest is teeming with magic. Its inhabitants constitute animated works of art, while the lighting and practical effects bring everything to life. Hand-painted backgrounds differ from zone to zone. You'll find yourself traversing verdant woods, gloomy caves, and breathtaking lake beds. The most stunning aspect of it all is the plugged forest that, as soon as you defeat the forces of evil, will transform into a grand, living organism right before your eyes. You just have to see it for yourself. Of course, you can't talk about Ori and the Blind Forest without mentioning its soundtrack. Sublime symphonic tracks perfectly complement the mysterious feel of the game. So why don't you give them a try? Published 1 year after the original release, the Definitive Edition adds more polish to every last detail of the game. Technical bugs, even though rare, are now completely gone. For those of you who'd like to experience Ori's story but are not so great with platformers, developers have added a lower difficulty level. They have also introduced a couple of new locations and skills. That last improvement is particularly interesting because now you can learn about Nuru's past, while previously you only met her during the prologue. Ori and the Blind Forest is incredibly poetic and unique. After all, it has been captivating the hearts of players all around the world. And the Definitive Edition is an even more refined version. It's better than the original, which in many people's minds was already perfect. So if you love fairy tales, appreciate beautiful game design, or are looking for a challenge, Ori and the Blind Forest is a perfect game for you.